Description: the HdG-2B Hedgehog was ordered by the SLDF for divisional commanders and thus equipped with the cutting-edge communications equipment. In the succession wars, all great houses used it as a recon unit and deep raider. Noted as an ultrafast design with advanced sensors and communication systems to match that of an Ostscout, although described as a relatively straightforward design, the structure and controls were considered counterintuitive, and the overall concept of tripod mechs will remain a curiosity for centuries. Weapons and equipment. The Hedgehog is armed with one Martel medium laser and 4 Krupps Invictus smoke projectors. The advanced communication system is often considered a mech's greatest asset. It proves essentially impossible to replace, leading many units to being downgraded with simpler comm units. Hedgehogs have been known to replace their comm system with a functionally equal system that, however, requires all weapon systems to be uninstalled to make enough room. Variants. The HdG-2B1 Harasser, the only known variant. The 2B1 is a House Merrick refit, also known as the Harasser. It swaps out 1 medium laser for 2 Inteki small lasers. Notable pilots. Mech warrior Stasia Paskaska has a penchant for jumping over opponents and kicking them with her mech's heavily armored center leg as she lands. A member of a command lance of the Paladin's chessmen, she keeps her King's Nightmare in perfect condition with Gary's orange and black paint job. Latura Torquemada Thompson is an independent mercenary who works for the highest bidder. He is obsessed with finding a replacement command radio set for the Black Plague, which is otherwise in good condition. The Night Stalker is in service to House Merrick. A Harasser variant, its unknown pilot is credited with killing 13 mech warriors in a single deep raid when it destroyed their barracks. Apocryphal content ends. Canosity. It's generally held that the fully canonical Hedgehog mentioned in the 2016 Interstellar Operations Rulebook and 2020 Recognition Guide, Clan Volume 2, is a nod to otherwise a acropical tripod. BattleMech of the same name was published in Stardate magazine October 1987, canonizing it as at least an otherwise unspecified tripod mech. I want to take a caveat on that for a second, because this matters, right? I'm reading my notes. Officially, it's been stated by CGL, the people back, it was FASA, FanPro, CGL, they all have this, have said variations. Back in the day, a lot of these mech designs were introduced in Stardate and Battle Technology and other considered non-canonical sources, which I found in a best retarded and curious at the same time, as to the idea that a company produces a fanzine that supports the game system that they're creating and then puts equipment and game concepts into the game newszine, or the game, how it's not considered canon is beyond me, because it's their shit. It's FASA's production that produced the concept in the first damn place. It just seems goofy. If they want to say it was a fluke of nature or a one-off or something like that, and it was never mass-produced, then that's fine. But to say it wasn't canon it's like saying some of the funny cars and some of the custom-made jalopies and stuff that we see out there aren't real either. That's just crock. So anyway. So a detailed write-up from Stardate remains apocryphal, apocryphal, to the extent where it was not repeated or confirmed in a canonical source, i.e. beyond the information given above. No further information was provided. It's presumed that this canonical mention of the Hedgehog from 2016 refers to the otherwise apothetical write-up of the tripod mech by the same name in 1987. And I don't know exactly what year that they introduced the super heavies to the officially in canon. But I suspect that when they did, that brought up some people like me going, hey, what about the, they've never had tripod mechs before. That's a load of crap. Hey, look back here, right? Anyway, so production information. Manufacturers, Uteca Fabrication Design, model HdG-2B, class light. Introduced in 2585 officially as canon. Introduced in 2602 apocryphal, so a beta canon if you want to go down that road. Technical specifications: inner sphere BattleMech, 35 tons. Chassis is a Tekka Max 3. Armor is Duralex medium. Engine is a Vox 280. Communication system is a Molinex HBD-2A9JJ Maxi Pulse Array. Targeting tracking system is a Molinex Tri Plus. Has 10 single heat sinks. It has a ground speed of 132.5 kmh. Armament: 1 medium laser, 4 smoke projectors, and I don't know what BB means. It says BV 1.0 and then BV as in Victor 2.0 and a battle value. That's what battle value. 1, 2. Battle value is not something I've never played any game in BattleTech where I had to worry about battle value, because that is something that's came since the days I stopped playing. And if I ever get the opportunity to begin to play again, I will probably rail against the damn shit. I will learn how to use it, but I will rail against it because I don't like this cherry picking crap. I always believe that the traditional system was you established units, and your units had whatever the hell you could acquire to put in your units, and you didn't just get a big toy box of crap and say, I'm going to pick this and this and this and this and then put them in the field, because that's not how they would really work. And unit combat is bullshit. I'm sorry, if you want to do Solaris, then that works every day, all day long. But when you're talking in the field, that's crack. The commander of the 7th Crucis Hussars are not going to go and look at the 11,000 soldiers and warriors that they have under their command and say, give me that guy, this guy, and that lady, and those two over there, and we'll put them together and call them that. And this is going to no. That's bad management for at the least. I'm just saying. No. So it is what it is. This little bugger has frustrated more people back in the day when we looked at it and we thought. So obviously this one on the right is somebody's three-dimension printed version, which is good. I mean, it's not exactly the same appearance-wise, but it's close enough. That's why I figured to include it. It's close enough to function as a hedgehog. And the idea being that the tripods existed a long time ago. So the idea as a working prototype. See, there's the other thing that I think they missed the ball on more than occasion, more than a few mech designs that are crap. There's other mech designs that they're actually pretty decent, but for one reason or another they get regulated to non-canon or beta canon. So this is one of those, is it or isn't it? Because it is mentioned in one or two rare places in in source books and things, but I don't know that it's in a technical readout that I'm aware of. I'm not saying that it's not, because obviously I haven't read and seen all the TROs, but at the same breath, what about the prototypes? What about the the trial of I know the word I'm looking for, and I'm stumbling all over hell trying to get my tongue to it. If you look at all the designs that our government and industry produces in the process of trying to get to a final product, you are going to have all kinds of experimentation going on. So that the idea that somebody someplace back in the day decided to experiment with the concept of a three-legged mech isn't retarded. It makes perfectly good sense, because how else would you determine whether it's worth having or not if you don't make the attempt to build one in the first damn place? It's like our tanks. Some of our most famous tanks today, there are two that were totally worthless crap, and so on. So I mean, it's just, I think they missed the ball on it. But as the mech goes, as a mech that never was officially canon, the Hedgehog has actually popped up and cropped up in conversations at weird locations over the decades, enough so that make me think that maybe perhaps Catalyst should revisit this, especially in the light of the introduction of the Super Heavies. And I grant you, there are a lot of people who are not happy with Super Heavies. I'm one of them. I'm not saying that they're not functionable. I'm not saying that you can't use them or shouldn't use them in your game. By all means, do so. I don't like the concept behind them. I don't like some of their limitations. I think that perhaps when I first heard the concept of Super Heavy, it was only a year ago. And I ain't kidding you when I said I was cut off for a long time. I did not have anything to do with BattleTech for over almost 13 years, almost 14 years. And in that period, the occasional novel I read, but I had given up on Dark Age, and they had not introduced Super Heavies. So when I got back and I started hearing this Super Heavy, and I Googled it and looked it up, I wasn't impressed by it at all. And my first inclination at the idea of Super Heavy was something like, I don't know, a 200 plus ton Uber mech, you know, the sort of Sentinel Defender. I expected them to be slow and methodical and armored up the arse, because they're going to be slow and methodical. They're going to take a lot of fire, so they better be able to absorb a lot of damage before they become a problem. The fact that this 125, 135, it was like they were playing around with the idea, and they just didn't buy they didn't buy in fully with it. So the other side is that the designs that they have, well, they're just jumped up assault mechs. Well, that's what they're supposed to be. Are they? I mean, that's foolhardy. And we're back to that economics of and support and supply. The logistics of supporting these damn things are retarded. So can you imagine trying to put a battalion of Super Heavies in the field? Would you ever? Would that be a waste of mass and firepower and money? Or would these things be supporting roles? Would these things be anchoring roles? I mean, that's where the armament and the their capabilities should be focused on. So if we have I don't know, castle busters, now we can have some machines that are loaded with 3 or 4 heavy autocannons, or 3 or 4 PBCs and stuff that would take an Atlas apart like it was a wasp. That's how a Super Heavy should be. A Super Heavy should be able to, an entire company of heavies should not be able to take down a Super Heavy, or at least should be on par with it, in my personal opinion, as to how and why they weren't taken so far. As for the 3-legged mech design, well, it's no more retarded than a 2-legged mech design or a 4-legged mech design. A 4-legged mech design is no more stable than if it loses a leg than a 3-mech would. Obviously, if it loses a leg, a 3-mech's going to fall down. Well, what about a bipedal mech? Once again, if your Atlas gets its leg blown off, I'm pretty sure it's going to fall down, because it would be one hell of a pilot to keep that thing standing on one leg, let alone do anything with it. You sure couldn't move, because that's not how they work. You can't hop around the battlefield. Thank God I haven't seen anybody try to pull that stunt in a novel yet, and I hope to God I never do. But I suspect it's probably out there, because generally people try the weird shit sooner or later. So hey, is it or isn't it canon? Because